Coming up, an American Top 20 Extra by Fleetwood Mac, a band whose longtime British drummer is fluent in both Arabic and Norwegian.
The hits from coast to coast. American Top 40.
Well, now we're up to the latest hit by a supergroup whose leaders went shopping a few years ago for a studio to record in and found instead two people who have helped lift them to their greatest heights. It was 5 years ago that a British blues band called Fleetwood Mac was taking stock of itself. In its previous 8-year history, the band had put 12 albums on the American LP charts and had gone through a lot of members. They were down to just 3 members at the moment, Mick Fleetwood, John McVie, and Christine McVie, and they decided to do an album as a trio. They were in Los Angeles and went to look for a studio that would suit them. They went to a place called Sound City. And the engineer there, to demonstrate the quality of the studio and equipment, played them a tape that had been recorded there recently. Well, the 3 members of Fleetwood Mac were just as impressed with the unknown girl singer and male guitarist on the demo as they were with the studio. And Mick Fleetwood called them on the phone. Well, that duo were Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham. And according to Stevie, Mick Fleetwood never said, "Do you want to audition?" It was, "Do you want to join?" And join they did. Several months later, the new 5-member Fleetwood Mac was well on their way to becoming one of the biggest acts of the 70s. Their first single with Lindsey and Stevie, "Over My Head," became the band's first top 40 hit. This week, Fleetwood Mac is in the countdown with their 10th top 40 single. At number 37, here's "Think About Me."
American Top 40.
The numbers get smaller and the hits get bigger. And at number 14 is a man who's done just the opposite. He's gone from being a pop star to being a movie actor. He's Mick Fleetwood of Fleetwood Mac. Recently, Mick appeared in Arnold Schwarzenegger's futuristic movie Running Man. He played a wise, old, underground revolutionary leader from the olden days, the 1980s. Now here's Mick playing his regular starring role with Fleetwood Mac. At number 14, their current hit's called Everywhere.
Casey's Countdown.
I'm Casey Kasem. Well, now we're up to a Casey's Countdown Extra, a smash by a supergroup that recently put on a show in a restaurant in Alexandria, Virginia. And they were happy to do it. Fleetwood Mac is one of the most successful bands of the rock era. Their albums, Fleetwood Mac and Rumors, are among the biggest selling albums of all time. They've hit the top 10 on the pop chart time and time again. So why would a band of such remarkable eminence play at a restaurant? Well, first of all, the restaurant is owned by the band's founder, leader and drummer, Tall Mick Fleetwood. It's called Fleetwood's, and it's in Alexandria, Virginia, just outside of Washington, D.C. Secondly, it isn't just a restaurant, it's also a blues club dedicated to preserving the great blues traditions of America. When the club opened in late July, Mick asked the current incarnation of his band, which features major names like Dave Mason and Billy Burnett, to drop on by to play a set, and to raise money for the music programs at the nearby Smithsonian Institute, probably the most famous museum in America. Fleetwood Mac had a great time. They say it's been years since they performed for such a small crowd in such an intimate setting, and they were reminded that it's clubs like these that are what the blues are all about. Now, as a Casey's Countdown Extra, here's one of the biggest hits from the band that's helping preserve two of America's most precious resources, the Smithsonian and the blues. From 1987, this is Fleetwood Mac and their number 1 smash, Little Lies.
American Top 20.
These are the hottest hits in America by the biggest artists in the world. Well, now we're up to an American Top 20 Extra by Fleetwood Mac, a band whose longtime British drummer is fluent in both Arabic and Norwegian. Mick Fleetwood was born in England, but his father was a military man, and his family moved several times while Mick was growing up. As a preteen, Mick spent 6 years living in Egypt, where his father was stationed. Quote, "I went to the British school there. I was good at languages, so I learned Arabic. I'm fluent to this day." Then, when Mick was in his teens, his father transferred to Norway, where the family lived for 4 years. Mick says, "I speak a pretty fair Norwegian as well. I can switch between the languages just like that. People who understand Arabic or Norwegian are amazed how well I speak them." Of course, he speaks pretty fair English as well, and that's the language used by his band. With an extra, here's Fleetwood Mac with a hit performed live back in 1998, Landslide.
This is for you, Daddy.